Welcome to another top 5 with Crystal5 guys. Today I will show you the top 5 cheap Hearthstone decks for Legend in June. This video should really help you out if you don't have that much dust or legendaries, so stick around to the end. Drop a like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe if you don't wish to miss out on my future top 5s and other Hearthstone tips. Also, drop a comment below and tell me what is your favorite deck right now. Quick side note before we jump into the decks. All of them are cheap or just need Ziliax and or Leeroy in them. Those two have proven themselves over the years, so no matter how low on dust you are, you should get those in your collection ASAP. Ziliax will be here for 10 more months, and Leeroy is here to stay, unless they finally Hall of Fame him. So craft away. I will give you 5 cheap decks, some of which can be upgraded, but others are optimal just the way they are. So you decide if you want to go for an upgradable deck or for a good, cheap, full deck instead. Now, let's see the decks. The first deck on the list is a deck I really enjoyed climbing with and even brought to rank 2 from 4 with about 73% win rate, which is just crazy for its cost, which is realistically just under 3k, including the Ziliax. My stream viewers already know what I'm talking about, it's Mech Combo Priest. The deck is really promising and interesting, and it's not expensive at all. The only legendary it has in it is Ziliax, and you don't really need to craft any other legendary for it, since Snip Snap is free. It doesn't contain any epics, and it has only 5 rare cards in it. It's not really a new concept, but most people still don't expect the combo lethal until it's too late. Having all of these good, high health, low attack mechs really helps sneak in some dirty combos, especially with your Stealth, Coppertail Impostor. Depending on the situation, you can draw tons of cards with your Clerics, Pyromancers and Acolytes of Pain. But be careful not to overdraw, or let your opponent mill you with your Acolytes. Here are the matchups for Mech Priest. You are great versus Token Druids, Mech Hunters, Mech and Wrath Paladins, and Pogo and Water Rogues. These are some of the most popular decks on ladder right now, and against the other not so great matchups for you, you still have the element of surprise, since the deck is not that popular yet, and people still aren't sure if they should be worried about that 1-5 or should just go face. For the mulligan, you always want to keep your Clerics and upgradable Framebot. If you have one of those, you can safely keep extra arms and power word shield too. Arms is not that bad a keep if you didn't get any minions either, but it's not great not having anything to buff with it till turn 3 or 4, so play around with that. Depending on the matchup, Wild Pyromancer could be a great early keep against Druids, Warlocks and Murloc Shamans. Keeping Acolytes is also a good idea, so you can start drawing your combo pieces faster. Don't bother keeping Mecharus unless you are versus a very heavy aggro or tempo deck. The Mecharus are in there just so you can have a sticky minion on which you can magnetize later. Your free silences really help you out in the current mech meta, so if you're sick of those, fight fire with fire, or mech with mech. Is this a good craft? Well, Priest is not in a great place right now, but if you enjoy the class and you don't have that much dust, it's an amazing craft for you. This would be an easy climb for you till rank 5, and if you put in the hours, I'm sure you can smash Legend with it as well, so I'd say craft away. Next we have a cheap Mech Hunter variant. Again, this deck only costs about 3k dust with the Ziliax included, and it doesn't run any epic cards, and it just has 10 rare cards. This is one of the best archetypes in the current meta, and you should have absolutely no problem climbing high ranks with it. You just have to chip away from your opponent's health with your bombs and hero powers, while he tries to deal with your ever-growing mechs. They might even try to play around Leeroy, but since you don't run that in your deck, that would be somewhat of an advantage for you. Your matchups are all in the green except for Big Shaman, but when was the last time you saw one of those? Basically, as long as you don't draw super bad, you should have no problem beating any meta deck with this deck right now. The optimal Mech Hunter would just swap out one Unleash the Hounds with a Leeroy. If you have him, just go for it and you will be playing one of the best decks, if not the best deck in the current meta. Before anyone starts calling me a Mech Hunter fanboy, I'd just like to say I haven't really used it that much on ladder, but I can't deny its power. For the mulligan, it's basically the same from my last video. You want your Mecharu and Galvanizer. Upgradable Framebot and Ursatron are also not bad, as long as you have something to play before them. Depending on the matchup, you can keep a Venomizer or a Spider Bomb for those early big minions. You just have to play out the first few turns against each matchup in your head and mulligan accordingly. Is Mech Hunter a good craft? You're damn right it is. This deck will be here to stay for a long time if you ask me. Probably even after the new expansion hits. It's just really good, and if we don't see some strong anti-mech synergies from the new expansion, I don't see it falling below tier 2. Enough with the mechs for now, let's talk about some shamans. The first shaman deck I will talk about is the new Aggro Overload Shaman. This seems to be a really powerful deck right now, and it's not really too expensive too. There are no legendaries in this list, but there are 5 epics and 13 rares, so it's not that cheap, sitting at 3700 dust. The deck has a lot of very cool synergies for extra damage, extra card draws, and extra board pressure, and it will really test your Hearthstone skills to the limit. You just need to put in the chip damage early on and finish the job either with your buffed out board or with your weapons and burn damage. Hunting Visions can occasionally find you Bloodlust, so if your opponent didn't respect your board, he will get punished. Your matchups look something like this. Basically, anything but Warrior should be okay or great for you, as long as you get good with the deck. A deck tracker would really help you out with this one, since you will need to know exactly what you will be able to draw with your spirits. Sure, you can do that all in your head too, but ain't nobody got time for that. Possible upgrades to the deck would be Electro Storm Surge. Some people put in Zentimo as well, but I'm not convinced he is that good in this deck. The Stormbringer is also a very interesting inclusion, since you will find yourself with a wide board most of the time, and for some decks this might be the last straw, so I'd give that a try too. Throwing in one Bloodlust might also prove beneficial. Anyway, for the mulligan, you always keep Thunderhead, since it's such a strong early game minion which can decide the game for you. Lickim is always a good keep, and Angler and Slurper can do great as well. You have to decide if you want them for the early game pressure, which will cause your opponent to use something for the Angler, or if you want them for the mid to late game refill. Other than that, you need to figure out what you will need against your opponents early on and mulligan accordingly. Again, this is a really good deck in the current meta, and if you enjoy Shaman and this sort of playstyle, you should definitely give this deck a go. It's a bit more expensive and it doesn't run that many safecrafts though, so it's up to you. Next we have another Shaman, but this time it's the Aggro Murloc Shaman. Again, this is not a cheap deck, but it doesn't run any legendaries. There are a ton of variants for this deck, so if you're missing some of the cards, you can swap them out for some other Murlocs or other good Shaman spells. It's a really cool deck, and things go out of hand pretty quickly if your opponent doesn't address your board, so you should be able to do some easy climbing, at least to rank 5. After that it will get harder, but it's far from impossible. The matchups are mostly in the green, but Warrior will wreck you, so if you're seeing too many of those, maybe it's time to switch. With the other popular decks you should be doing good or great. An upgrade to this deck would require a lot of legendaries, but if you have some of the following legendaries, Scargill, Bow of Hagathas, Shudderwalk, and even the Stormbringer, you can test around with those and see how it goes. You can check out my last video for a more thorough look on the upgraded deck and see if you can upgrade this one closer to the more mid and late game oriented one if you prefer it. For the mulligan, Underbelly and Tidecaller are always a good keep. Sludge Slurper is also good early on, and you can play your Lackey on your overloaded turn 2 so you don't fall behind too much. Lickim is also great, and you can keep Thunderhead as well. Depending on the matchup, a Toxifin or a Zap might do you wonders, and Pharaoh Spirits against faster decks is great as well. This is also a deck I think you won't go wrong if you go for it. It opens up the possibility for you to transition to the Aggro Overload Shaman as well, without too much investments, and it's quite powerful too, but if you're really on a strict budget, then the last deck should be perfect for you. On the last spot, we jump back to the Mech Stone, with the deck from last week, Mech Token Druid. Not much new stuff I can say about the deck. It's still great, it's still winning a lot, and it's still dirt cheap, sitting at less than 1500 dust. It runs only Snip Snap as a legendary, no epics and only 6 rares. The deck isn't really upgradable too, because it's doing perfect as it is, and no legendary or epic can make it better. You just have to zerg the board and buff it out. You can notice that the deck doesn't run that many buffs, but you will find them more than enough most of the time, and the fact that you have so much refill helps out a lot as well. The deck is quite strong, and the bombs in it make it all that weirder for your opponent. It's quite the dilemma for them if they should trigger those pesky bombs or press their luck and see if you can double Ferocious Hell their face. Overall, your matchups are mostly favored. Magpally, Zulok and Hooktusk Rogue are problematic, but other than that you should be good if you know what you're doing. For the mulligan, you just look for your early drops. If you are going first, you will be heavily favored, since the deck relies on asserting dominance on the board. Most of the time it's not a good idea to hold on to buffs, unless you have some 1 and 2 drops. Your optimal starting hand would contain Acorn Bear, Dreamway Guardians and maybe a Power of the Wild, since it's flexible. If you're facing another druid, keeping Swipe might be crucial, since they run Whispering Woods, and if you can't deal with that, things will go south pretty quickly. All in all, this is a very cheap deck with which you can hit high ranks, so you might want to look into it and spend some time perfecting it. It's very effective and it will probably stick around for a while too. Feel free to drop by my stream tonight and see me piloting some of these decks. So that's it for this video, guys. Let me know in the comments what deck you're having the most success with in the June season. I hope these cheaper versions help you out a lot. Thanks for watching, I'm Crystal5, and I'll see you in my next video.